Doing? Uh-oh, I gotta close that down. I just downloaded some pictures of what the hell happened here. Hang on a second. I downloaded some images of a vehicle under embargo, and you're not supposed to see that. So here we go. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, how's everyone doing? That was a bit awkward. We have a lot of pictures to get through. First of all, we want to say hi to Car Cost Canada, the title sponsor of the channel. If you are in the market for any car that's new, or friends or family are considering a car, make sure you sign up using the promo code MotorMouth and get the questions. Get the the real cost, what the dealer pays for the car, any kind of rebates or incentives. There you go. Okay, so let's get into the pictures. First up, we have Dave Geddes, who sent a picture of his, I like this trio here, near and dear to my heart. He's got an 85 Celica GTS, or Celica GTS if you're from the United States. And I had the Celica, or the Celica GT, which was the notchback. Didn't have those wheels, unfortunately. I had a set of those wheels. I never got around to putting them on the car. And behind that, he's got a 2014 Cayenne diesel. Okay, so many of you probably know I have a Cayenne diesel. So that's cool that he's got an 85 GTS. But here's the, here's the cool part, is that Dave went on a mileage run from, where did he go? From Brandon, Manitoba to PEI and back for a grand total of 8,000 kilometers. Check out the mileage on his Cayenne diesel. He averaged 6.9 liters per 100 kilometers, and he drove 8,000 kilometers. That's amazing fuel economy. All right, so well done. Next we have Amanda sent a picture of the 2019 Volkswagen GTI Autobahn Edition. Picked it up. Well done. Great car. Excuse me. Next up is Fernando and Christina. They have a 2012 MX-5 Miata. And this picture is taken in Adirondack, New York. They say a beautiful part of the world. And then we have Lucas, who bought this 2013 Accord 5 years ago. He initially bought it with 28,000 miles on it. Now it's got 88,000 miles on it. And then the last one is a video. And this is from our regular Don Collier, who has a Hellcat. And this is what a Hellcat sounds like when you start it up. Sounds like this. There you go. Well done. I love the sound of that. I was hoping you'd rev it up a little bit there, Don. Okay. What's happening tomorrow? There's going to be a short video dropping on the Kia Sorento with the information you need to know about that. The following day will be the Volkswagen ID4. So a lot of people have been asking about Volkswagen electrified cars. So the first vehicle we're going to get will be the ID4, and that is the utility that is coming first to North America. So if you follow along with the Volkswagen electrification, the ID3 is kind of the electrified Volkswagen Golf. It's available now in Europe. The first one for North America. You will see the production version of it on Wednesday here on the channel. I just downloaded all the pictures of it, and that's all I can say. All right, let's get into the questions and see where we're at here. Jordan is, what happened to driving TV? I don't know, man. Don't work there anymore. I'm now with Motoring TV. Any news on Nissan Pathfinder? I don't have any information on that yet. There is going to be an Infiniti QX60 reveal coming up in a week or so. No, at the end of the week. So there's 3 reveals this week. Sean is saying good evening from Halifax. It's getting kind of late in Halifax. What is it? Yes, 10 o'clock there. The Queen's Half Corgi. I had to watch an ad to get in here. Well, how good is that? I love when you talk dirty like that. Why is luxury associated with rear-wheel drive architecture? I'm not sure that it's associated with luxury. Performance-oriented vehicles typically are more expensive and associated with luxury brands. And more performance typically comes from a rear-wheel bias all-wheel drive system or a rear-wheel drive vehicle. There are no front-wheel drive race cars. There are front-wheel drive race car series. You can look at a Civic Type R as a front-wheel drive vehicle that is very quick, but there might be a series where that falls into. But most high-performance cars are rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive and have a rear-wheel bias all-wheel drive system. So I don't think it's anything to do with luxury. It's just that it's more expensive to make performance cars. You need bigger engines, all those sorts of things, and that's what they typically have. A friend who walked into a Tesla showroom wanted to buy a Model 3 and walked out with a Model Y, even with no rebate. As we're here in Alberta. Well, I've been saying this about the Model 3. It's a placeholder car. The real product that people want is a utility vehicle. And Model Y is the size that people are buying, which is a compact utility. So all of those people that rushed out and bought a Model 3 in the last year and a half or so probably should have waited for the Model Y. Yeah, come on in. Hey, what do you have, Jack? Have a seat. How's it going?
Good.
So what's the update on sports? Seahawks won last night.
Yeah, 35-30.
Who's going to win in the Stanley Cup final?
Dallas.
You think so?
5 games.
Dallas in 5?
I think they're going to choke Tampa, so it happens every year. I mean, what else could you expect from them?
At least they're better than the Leafs.
Yeah. Well, Leafs don't even make the playoffs.
Who's going to win the NBA championship?
Probably the Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, they hit a buzzer beater 3 to win last night.
There you go. There's your update.
Denver.
There's Jack. That shirt will be valid soon. October's very own in October. Thank you, Jack. What are we drinking tonight? Stella Artois. Thank you, brother. So there you go. I think it's basically that the Model Y really is what people want. How much research and development do car companies spend with tire manufacturers? Depends on the brand. Typically, the higher performance the car, the more integration there is. For example, if you're producing a new Corvette, and this happened, Corvette developed the tire with the tire suppliers for that car. Same thing with Porsche. Porsche has a special N rating on their tire. So if you have any Porsche, it's strongly urged that you buy either an N or an NO rated tire. That's a Porsche designated tire. It's sort of stiffer casings, better for handling, all those sorts of things. So typically the higher end a vehicle is, the more the special tires that come with it. And that's they do work hand in hand, because tires are so integral to a performance car. Absolutely, the first line of performance is the tire. Where do you purchase your pre-owned watches? Well, it's a little bit of everywhere. I just got a new watch, by the way. This is my new acquisition. It is my Oyster Perpetual 39mm in black. I got this one off Facebook. A Facebook group. So you can type into Facebook watch groups and you'll find some. I think one is Luxury Canada Luxury Watch Group. Another one is a Rolex one. I bought an Omega off there as well. There's if you're in Canada, it's Canada Watch Trader is an online forum. Local retailers, you can go to a jeweler that specializes in watches, a watch repairer, and go in there and ask them, do you know any watch dealers that buy and sell watches? That's a good way to do it. I have a 16 V6 Accord, but mid-size sedans are plummeting. I'm concerned about future resale price. Should I consider selling it and getting an SUV instead? It's a great car nonetheless. Well, it's a 4-year-old car, so it's already depreciated roughly 50 or 60%. You have to think to yourself, is it going to depreciate that much more? Okay, so you've already taken the biggest hit in depreciation already. Probably it's cheaper to keep the car and sell it a few years from now than going and getting a new car, because buying a new car is an expensive thing to do. You've got to pay tax, you've got to pay documentation fees often, you've got to do all these sorts of things. The car is already depreciated 50 to 60%. Maybe drive it for another year. It's not going to. A car depreciates like this, and then often it'll plateau and go down slowly. And then once you get like high mileage on it, it goes down some more. Just something to think about. I find German cars have better legroom for taller drivers like me, whereas Japanese and American cars don't. Any thoughts on why? Well, I kind of agree with you. I think that Germans do cars for big guys pretty well. There's a lot of big Germans. I think that's really the reality of it. You get big guys and their cars are roomy and they design them for their domestic market. Domestic cars, I would say that's not quite the same, especially when it comes to utility vehicles and so on. This is something that you have to research yourself when you're buying a car, is to try it out for yourself and see if you like it or not like it and whether you fit. It's basic stuff. You would be surprised how many people buy a car and then email me after the fact and say, I don't like this, I don't like that. And I write back, I said, well, did you test drive the car before you bought it? No, I didn't. Like, hello, basic stuff. Do you fit? I think it's just, Sam, a fact that there's probably quite a few large German guys. Nissan has done an excellent job on the new Z. Love how they develop themselves. So there's the picture of the 400Z or the 400Z prototype. The video, if you missed it, went last week on the channel. Go and watch it, a couple minutes long, showing the car. A lot of people don't like this rectangular air inlet at the front. That is sort of polarizing. I think the car overall, they did a really cool modern take on a vintage classic. I think it's pretty cool. I kind of agree with you. Plus, it's probably going to have the Q60 twin turbo V6 with 400 horsepower, so it should be a lot of fun to drive. Eric, the hiking. If we keep asking the same questions, we will lose the last Q&A. What car has the best rear seat for lovemaking? Well, it depends. It depends how you like it. It really comes down to that. A minivan. A minivan's going to be your choice. Turn my volume off there. Eric, that's the best rear seat for making out. Hey Zach, you should do a search on car cost to show exactly what viewers can expect by using the service. It's a good idea. I should probably, you know what I might do is I might do a Zoom chat and record the screen with Jim Matthews, the head of Car Cost Canada, and he can explain it. You might have heard Jim Matthews. He does a lot of the radio ads for Lease Busters, so he's really good at actually explaining the product. I should send you a picture of my 14 Mercedes AMG C63 507 edition. Fantastic car. Sold it to a guy in California a couple of years ago. Oh, by the way, I showed the pictures. I forgot to tell you how to get yours in. Send them to zach@motormouth.ca. That's ZACK@motormouth.ca or ZACK@motormouth.ca. Hope the air quality out there has improved. Yeah, we had a kind of a gray, rainy, wet day on Saturday. For most of it, it didn't rain all day, but it rained most of Saturday. And then yesterday, Sunday, the blue sky was out. It was beautiful. So yeah, the smoke definitely has improved. How's the Corolla Hybrid? I need a car for daily driving and 400 kilometers per week. I'm looking at 50,000 per year, mostly highway driving. Will this be comfortable and stable on the highway? It is a very comfortable and stable car. However, hybrid vehicles are not the most efficient on the highway. So if you're using it for daily driving, a hybrid will be fantastic. And it'll be good on the highway. The Corolla, in my opinion, the way it drives, the Corolla hybrid, is an improvement on the Prius. It has a similar architecture. It is built on the new global architecture. I think it's probably the best Corolla, in my opinion. They did a very good job. I suggest you drive it and try it for yourself. Take it out on the highway. See if you like it. It's definitely going to deliver good fuel economy. The interesting thing is the fuel economy of the Corolla in the city and on the highway is about the same. And you are going to get good fuel economy. And my brother has a Prius that he kind of hyper miles. He lives in Richmond Hill, north of Toronto. He drives to Scarborough every day. He's a school teacher and back, and he gets amazing fuel economy on it. If you're doing that kind of mileage, hybrid is probably a good way to go. I would have said, a year or so ago, diesel, but that's not the case anymore. Any concern of the CX-30 Mazda made in Mexico? I prefer made in Japan. Also, I'm concerned of cylinder deactivation on an XC30. I prefer Mazda because it's not CVT. This would be quite easy for you to go and look up and see if there have been any quality concerns around the factory in Mexico. I suspect no. Having been to many factories around the world, they all look the same. Doesn't matter where they are. I've been to the Volkswagen factory in Mexico. I've been to factories in Europe, factories in other parts of North America, and they all look the same. It's the process of making the car and not where it is that is the most important. And if you've never been to a car factory, it's surprising how few people there are in there. It's mostly all robots, right? Robotic. So they take the thing and then they weld it together, and then the robot moves it onto a conveyor. And what happens with humans is what's called final assembly. That's where the engine gets put into the bottom of the car and they bolt it in, and then it goes along and they put the doors on and the seats in and stuff. But most of that stuff is already pre-assembled away from the factory. I'm really not concerned about it. If you're really that concerned about it, then do some research on that and see if there's been any issues with that vehicle made in Mexico. I wonder if you reviewed the Acura TLX yet. I heard reviewers are allowed to be released after the 28th. Now, it's interesting that I was thinking about this when I was walking my dog this morning, that Acura didn't do a launch event. For example, last week there was a Subaru Crosstrek event on the 17th. I got to drive the vehicle for the day, got to collect all the images, and then those vehicles are going on a truck and being shipped to Toronto. Then everybody in Toronto gets to drive them. Then they're getting shipped on a truck and going to Montreal. And then we're not to release our information on the car until October 7th. So that means everybody that drove the car in Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal gets a chance to write their stories, do their videos, take their pictures, and then everything gets released on one day. Acura didn't do that. I was expecting them to do that. For example, next week, I'm driving the Venza. Same thing. I get to drive the Venza here in Vancouver. There is an event in Ottawa. I decided not to go to it because I want to do the video here with Andrea. And everything is held off for another week, and then we all release it at the same time. Acura didn't do it that way. I just got an email from Acura and said, would you like to book the car? So when is it again? I have the car the week of October 19th. So there you go. I will be getting the car, and it will be October 19th. Okay? What can you, as the channel owner, do about the fake accounts commenting, "Hey boys, I'm lonely"? Okay, so Queen's Half Corgi, there has been a spam going on with comments from this series of channels with Asian women, and apparently they do live sex shows or something like that, and they're basically spamming the comments. So what I do is when I get those, I flag them to Google as spam, and then I hide them from the comments. So once I see them and then I click on that, you shouldn't be able to see them again. But the thing is, they do it with multiple accounts. So I'm on it, not on them. I'm on it. I'm sending the information to Google, but I think with with these bot farms, there's just hundreds and hundreds of these different channels. So whenever I see them, that's what I do. What do you expect the 0 to 60 will be for the 2021 Mazda 3 CX-30 with the turbo? The turbo engine is quite interesting. It's a torquey engine, and it delivers a different kind of experience than what you get from most turbocharged engines because it's of the way that they've set up the compression of the engine. I find it more torquey, more like a diesel power plant. That's the feeling I get because you got to remember that engine is being used mostly for utility vehicles. So we're going to have to wait and see until we get a chance to drive it, but it is coming soon. I like this. West Coast is saying smash the like button to support the channel. So we have 150 people on right now with 50 thumbs up. So smash the like button if you could. I keep my car for at least 15 years. Any occasion on buying a CVT car? I heard they don't last 100 to 150,000 kilometers. Well, I just bought a CVT car. I just bought a Honda Civic. And the thing is, I had it out on the weekend, and I took it for a drive. I had a meeting to meet some guys for coffee for a project I'm working on. And I took it out, and I was like, what a great car. It really is a great city car. Handles fantastic. Here's the thing, if you are so worried about that, if you're going to keep a car for 15 years and that is a major bugaboo for you and you just don't want to do it, don't do it. There's plenty of other cars with regular torque converter automatic transmissions that you can buy. So if you're worried about it, don't buy it. It's that simple. Here's Lucas again. I had a picture. Let me find it again. His picture. There it is again. There he is. With oops, what have I done here? There it is. There's the car, his Accord, 2013 Accord. And now back to the question. I'm juggling all these things here. Hyundai and Kia has really been killing it with designs and making their cars stand out compared to Hondas and Toyotas. The design really have been on point and futuristic. Yeah, so I think you're probably talking about the all-new Hyundai Tucson. If you missed the video on that, that dropped last week. Really stylish and edgy looking, and I totally agree with you. The Kia Sorento video will drop tomorrow. I just think that the Koreans are absolutely crushing it when it comes to features, design, ergonomics on the inside. I think that the quality scores have ratcheted up over the last few years. They're making some excellent products, and I totally agree with you. The Koreans are putting conventional car brands on notice the same way Tesla has done for electrification. My son's analysis on the Cup final. Oh, your son's analysis on the Cup final is spot on. I agree with him. Tampa Bay will choke again. Well, we're going to have to wait and see. I have to say that after the Canucks went out, I kind of lost interest. That's just normal. Stay safe, Zach. 5 gang-related shootings in just as many days in Metro Vancouver when I was watching the news a few days ago. Vancouver is a very diverse city. Depends on where you live. Now, if you're just seeing Vancouver generally as these gang-related shootings, most of them are centralized in what we call the Fraser Valley, in Surrey and Langley and Abbotsford and those things. I haven't read all of the stories on this, but these are gang-related typically. They're retaliation for gang members. There might be some other instance I haven't read about yet today, but Vancouver has a gang problem, and these things bubble up from time to time for sure. Why do I see many use 997 Porsches with the Speedo in miles per hour? Well, Rudy, this is very simple. Before the Great Recession, the Canadian dollar was strong. The Canadian dollar floated between 90 cents against the US dollar and on par. So it was definitely a good place to buy a car was the United States. So for quite a few years, the Canadian dollar was at par with the United States. So you could take $60,000 Canadian, go down to the States and buy a $60,000 US dollar car, bring it back, pay the duty and the taxes, and you had a US car in Canada. And now you're seeing those used cars being sold in the Canadian marketplace. The speedometer did not need to be changed for regulation because there's a digital readout. Just so long as you can switch the digital readout from miles to kilometers or kilometers to miles, if that is capable of doing that, you don't need to change the miles per hour on the speedometer. So those cars that you're seeing that have miles per hour in the speedometer are US original cars, were brought into Canada when the dollar was stronger. Now the dollar, as we all know, is in the crapper, around 75 cents. So there are very few, if I would say almost no, US cars coming in. That's why the prices of used Porsches are so strong here in the Canadian marketplace, because the cars that are being sold in the used market in Canada are all the cars that are here. There's no new ones coming in, and that's what you're seeing. Jordan, love your channel, Zach. Well, I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Is a Honda Civic Type R a good buy? Yes, I think it's a fantastic car. Just announced today, there's a special trim they've just come out with today. I read the press release very quickly, but if you do a little search on Google, you'll see there's a new special edition was just announced today. Purchasing a 2010 116,000 kilometer dealer service 335i manual transmission. Any known problems? Purchasing it from a family member, BMW downtown serviced. That engine was all about the turbochargers themselves that could fail. Wonderful, wonderful car. 116,000 kilometers on a 10-year-old car is not high mileage. You need to have it, even though it's being serviced at downtown. The downtown store, is that what you said? Downtown BMW. Please, please, please have it inspected by another dealer. Or that dealer, if it's a family member that's selling it to you, go to the BMW dealership and do what's called a pre-purchase inspection. Get the vehicle inspected for any known problems, because your family member that's selling it to you might not know that there are some known issues with it. There might be some oil leaks. There might be, like, the brakes might all be gone. Whatever it is, right? Do yourself a favor and get a pre-purchase inspection. It is a wonderful car. It is great power. Manual transmission is wonderful. But the one area of that car, the early versions, like in 07, they had some issues with the turbocharger. Please get it checked. Make sure it's fine. But it's a wonderful car. You are going to love it. Queen's Half Corgi. Imagine asking an auto reviewer of his opinion on a car he's reviewed. I don't get it. You know what's quite interesting? Here's something that happens regularly. Is people buy a car, then they ask me what I think of it as validation for what they bought. Like, why don't you ask me before you buy it? I had some guy send me a Facebook message about a 911 Targa. And the price on it was just way too low. It had 8,000 kilometers on it, and it was like $80,000 for a 2-year-old car. I said, this price is way too low. There's something with this car. I said, make sure you get a Carfax on it, because I almost guarantee it's been damaged and repaired. What do you think about the Nissan Rogue? Well, I'm not sure if you're referring to the current one or the new one. There is a new one just about to hit dealers. And this is where you need to play if you're of the mindset, I am motivated by price, or if I'm motivated by the newest and the latest. So if you're motivated by the newest and the latest, you probably want to wait and test drive the all-new 2021 Rogue. It's going to be a vastly improved vehicle in many ways. So what they're doing with the existing one is dropping the price down. We had somebody comment here a week or so ago that they used Car Cost Canada, and they did a cash deal on a new Rogue, and they got huge, like $7,000 off. So if you want to get your best deal, now is the time to execute on a 2020 Rogue. But if you're motivated by having the newest and the latest, maybe wait for the 2021. I don't mind the car at all. I actually think it does a good job at what it's supposed to do, which is to move people around. A lot of people don't like the CVT. Give it a try, see if you can live with it. But yeah, I think the Rogue has been a bestseller for Nissan for a reason. It does a lot of things well. Okay, I think people are talking to each other here. Caulking the axle. Dude, where you been? Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, Zach, how's Andrea's stick lessons coming along? Are you going to get your son learning manual once he gets automatic down? Sip, subscribe, and be safe. Okay, I take a sip, and you guys hit the subscribe button. So, Jack is actually out with Andrea right now in the Civic getting a little lesson. So, a lot of the videos you see us shooting are done in a nice neighborhood near where we live called Shaughnessy. So Shaughnessy is the equivalent to Rosedale in Toronto, to Mount Royal in Montreal, an old established neighborhood with big houses. I think the average, I would say the starting price of a house in Shaughnessy is $5 million and goes up to as much as you can imagine. So I don't live there, but it is nearby. And that's where they're driving around with the Civic. Jack is just starting to drive. Okay, so he's out there. He's starting his Mercedes-Benz driving lessons this week. So he'll be going out with Mercedes-Benz. And he's not really interested in learning manual. My younger son, Charlie, is going to be turning 16 in March, and he's all down with that. So the good news is we have my old Toyota Tacoma pickup truck, which is a manual. So when he first masters the art of driving on the road, we can learn manual for sure. Here's Josh. Good to have you here, Josh. Hey, Zach, do you find the Ford Expedition is underrated and forgotten when people are shopping between Tahoe, Yukon, and others? I hear there are deals. I like the Expedition a lot. What I don't like about the Ford interior is it's really plastic fantastic. I mean, the materials on the inside of it, I had the top, what's it called? Platinum, I believe. Titanium, platinum, something like that. It's the top one. I drove last summer. And even there, even though it had leather seats, I really feel that this is the one area that Ford has to improve, is the interior materials on their vehicles. FCA was the worst offender of all this stuff. They got way better. Like, their vehicles are really good now on the inside. Look at the Ram, for example. I do like the way it drives. I think that the engine is powerful. If it was between an Explorer and an Expedition, like a high-end Explorer, I would much rather go to the Expedition. Bigger vehicle. You don't have to deal with the turbo 4-cylinder. You get the turbo 6-cylinder. Much better vehicle. And I do agree with you. When I drove it at the launch in California, I was driving through an off-road course with one of the engineers that developed the vehicle. And the way he explained it, and it's true, he said, we developed this truck so that there's no reason not to buy it. Like, the General Motors trucks are so dominant. The Tahoe, the Suburban, all of those vehicles are just absolutely crush it in market share. He said, we developed this truck to have, there's no reason why you should buy those trucks. This one outperforms them on all levels. The market maybe doesn't agree with that because the new General Motors trucks are out. And of course, because they have such a strong following, they're already doing quite well. But I do like it. I way like it more than the Explorer. I have a 14 Accord with 60K, and the paint is peeling around the back window. It looked like a defect from Honda and their pearl white paint. Should I fix then sell or just drive it until it quits? You know what? Getting paint repairs done is not that big a deal. It's not going to be inexpensive, but it's not crazy. I mean, a good shop should be able to blend it in with the rest of the car. Is it worth selling a car because you have some paint defect? No, the paint can be repaired. Selling, like I was saying, buying a new car is an expensive way to fix a problem. just fix the problem. I mean, a 2014 Accord with 60,000 kilometers is just getting broken in. So there's lots and lots of car to go there. Oh, we have a super chat here. Super chat. This is from Brody V. Handful 2-year-old Mustang GT in used market. Why? Only a handful of 2-year-old Mustang GTs in the used market. Why so? I would suspect that people who buy Mustang GTs are not really into the idea of flipping them. I don't know. I don't know why there wouldn't be many in the used market. I just think that people who want a Mustang GT probably buy them and keep them. That's what I think. But it's something you can monitor for sure. You can set preferences in a lot of these search functions for when one becomes available. But I think it probably just comes down to the fact that the people that buying them do have an idea of keeping them. Have you done a review of the 2021 Lexus 450h? No, I haven't. Hey Zach, should I buy a 2020 Civic Si or spend a little bit more and get a Veloster N? These are very different cars. Very different cars. The Civic Si is just a really good everyday car that is a fun car to drive. It's got the manual transmission. It has the adaptive suspension, which isn't that much of a difference between normal and sport. But a really well done car, comfortable, nice back seat, big trunk, all the things you get with a Civic. You just get the better engine. Excuse me. The Veloster N, on the other hand, is a car that was developed to be much more edgy. And then in the settings, from mild to wild, the suspension settings really are quite distinct. So you can have it soft enough for everyday use, but when you ratchet it up and you hit that N button and get it the sharpest point, it can be really quite sharp, like much sharper than a GTI. So it depends on what you want. Do you want just a really nice everyday car that you can drive that is comfortable? Then I would say get an SI or a GTI. If you're wanting something really quite sharp to have a lot of fun with, then a Veloster N might be the one to go. Mazda CX-5 versus Nissan Rogue Platinum. My parents are seniors and looking for an empty nester SUV in the range of 30 to 40. Nailed it down to these two as the best bang for the buck instead of the CR-V RAV4. Now, if they don't need that much space, you might want to look at also the CX-30. If they're empty nesters and are not using the cargo space in their rear seats very often, that might be a way to get the price down even more. But Ash, if it was me and it was between those two, it would easily be the CX-5. And if they have the budget, and I think they do, 35 to 40, so just under $40,000, I think 39, you get the turbo, the GT, for the CX-5. That's the one I encourage them to go and try. Hey Zach, I noticed it's impossible to find a Dodge Challenger 5.7 liter at the dealerships. You have to factory order them, it seems. Is this because they ship most of them to the States? Well, it's got nothing to do with the fact that they ship them to the States. If you're not aware, then you obviously know this. The Challenger is made here in Canada. I think it's just that it's a low volume car, so the dealer isn't going to have a bunch sitting on the lot that could sit there for a long time. It's a car that somebody really intends to own. So probably, depending on how big your dealership is, it might not be worth it for them to bring the car in. And then maybe the people who really want those cars want to get the shaker, they want the bigger engine, the SRT, the Hellcat, all those sorts of things. So work with the dealer, ask them why they don't buy more of them, because the dealer buys the cars and then they sit on the lot and then they sell them, and that's when they make a profit. So it might just be that they don't want to buy that inventory if it's not easy to sell. It's probably easier for them to get the car exactly the way the person wants it, order the car, and then they're happy. Hey Zach, when are you going to review the GM's full size, the Suburban Tahoe Yukon Escalade? As soon as I can get my hands on them. It's a good thing. I should send an email to General Motors. I have a few vehicles. One coming up is the Trailblazer. I'm really excited to get this. I think it's going to be really cool to try that little utility. But yeah, I will get to them. There's 52 weeks in the year, and there's only so many cars I can do at once. But I will get there. Oh, Eric's here saying, I drove a Venza last weekend. I'm eagerly awaiting your and Andrea's thoughts. So next Thursday, we get the Venza for the day. And we're going to shoot it and do all of that. So we'll tell you all about it. We have the Highlander Hybrid we picked up today. And we're planning on doing a hybrid challenge, which I think should prove to be amusing. So, yeah, wait till you see that. Just drove a 19 RAV 28 miles in 1 month. I have just under 7,900 miles. Wow, you don't drive it at all. What's going on with it? Maybe it's time to get a bus pass. So I see the Queen's Half Corgi and somebody else are going back and forth on comments here. What do you think of cylinder deactivation in Mazda? Some owners indicate issues with it. I don't know if there's specific issues with cylinder deactivation. If you're not aware of what that is, the engine has the ability to switch off half of the cylinders under light load, usually going downhill or when the throttle is very steady. It does this for short periods of time. As soon as you activate more throttle, all of the cylinders wake up again. This is technology that has been around a long time now. It dates back to the 80s. General Motors had the 864 system in Cadillacs, which was a miserable failure back then. Then Daimler really worked it out. Chrysler benefited from that. Like the Hemi, for example, the 5.7 liter V8 has cylinder management on a lot of cars. General Motors does it as well. And most of them are really no issue at all. What I would do is there is a web forum for every single car and brand on the planet. So if you're worried about cylinder management in the Mazda CX-30, go on the Mazda forums and have a look for yourself what other people say and try it out. When I drove it, I didn't notice it, so it didn't bother me one bit. TK Porsche's here with a super chat. Zach, with all your motoring travels, which North American cities have the best drivers? Which are the worst? I don't know. I mean, the worst and best drivers, I couldn't tell you that. We're only there for 1 day, so it's not really a good indication. I will tell you that where I live in Vancouver, some of the worst drivers. But every city, everybody says that. Oh my God, the drivers here are terrible. Enter city name. I don't think there's any one place I can think of where the drivers are worse than others. It is refreshing going to Europe for car launches and driving on European highways, whether it's the Autostrasse in Italy or the Autobahn in Germany or any European highway. Lane etiquette is fantastic. Someone comes up behind you, and I found it was mostly Audi drivers when we were in Italy. The guys that drove the fastest in Italy drove Audis. They would come barreling up behind you in a big Audi A8 or something like that, and you get out of the way in your little Fiat Punto, and you pull over and you make sure you get out of the way. And it certainly is the case in Germany with the Autobahn. Lane etiquette there is so good. Like you just do not see people sitting in the left lane. It just doesn't happen. They get out of the way. And I think, I think all North Americans are bad for that. All North American cities. All right, I see that people are going back and forth here. What's the future, V6 or plug-in hybrid? I think the future is actually not V6, it's four-cylinder. The future is already here. It's four-cylinder turbo, and it is plug-in hybrid, and it's a combination of those, right? So four-cylinder, plug-in hybrid, for example, the Highlander hybrid that I'm driving this week and just picked up today, has a four-cylinder hybrid system in a 3-row, 7-passenger SUV. That is the future. Now, it's not a plug-in, it's a hybrid, but that will come, just like they did with the RAV4. The Highlander 2 will probably get a prime version, and you'll get 60, 80 kilometers of just electric range. The German brands really do believe that plug-in hybrid is the way to go. It isn't full electric. Now they're going to offer full electric vehicles, but they truly believe that the vast majority of people are going to be served by a plug-in hybrid. And I agree with them. Do you really need to have 500 kilometers of big heavy battery in your car for the 30, 40 kilometers you drive every single day? No, that is overkill. I think most people are going to be well served by having 60, 80 kilometers of electric range, and then the gasoline system on board for those longer trips, or if you just haven't had a chance to charge it in, plug the vehicle in and charge it. Having huge batteries for 500 kilometers of range, for most people, isn't the best use of our resources. Tim Kim, love the channel, Zach. Notice you weren't too impressed with the X7. Wondering if your thoughts have changed at all since your review. We'd love to get your wife's point of view. Just ordered one for the wife. I'm not sure why you thought I didn't like the X7. I think what I said was the styling was a bit over the top, but I think the X7 is great. I think you should watch the video again. I think I really quite liked it. Thoughts on the Nissan Titan XD Cummins diesel? Still quite a few 19s left on dealers' lots in Texas. Seems as though they didn't sell all that well and no 2020 model year. Yeah, the Cummins diesel in the Titan pickup truck is gone, and there is speculation that the Titan generally might be gone. Here's the thing. The Cummins diesel engine that Ram uses in their trucks, in their heavy-duty trucks, it's not available in the 1500. The 1500 Ram has a V6 3-liter. It's a VM Motori Italian-based engine. That engine that is in the Cummins, the Titan, was developed with Ram. And the thought was that Ram was going to take that V8 diesel and use it in their vehicles. Then the financial crisis hit. FCA backed out of that agreement with Cummins. Cummins had this engine developed and ready to go. They shopped the market with it, and it was Nissan who wanted to kind of make a splash with it. They put it in their new truck, the Titan, and they came out with the, was it called an XD, I believe. And the problem with it, it's the wrong engine for its application. It's a V8 diesel. It doesn't need to be a V8 diesel. And in my experience driving with it, it doesn't get good fuel economy. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong. The engine will do what it's meant to do. It's got loads of torque and power. But if I wanted a diesel in a pickup truck and it wasn't a heavy duty, I would get a Ram, a Ford, or a Chevy with their 3-liter diesels, and not overkill like you get with the V8. What do you like better, Nissan CVT or Honda CVT? Well, that's like picking the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry pile. I would say probably Honda. But the latest batch of CVT equipped cars from Nissan that I've driven, being the Kicks and the Sentra, I thought were really quite good. So try them out. But I think Hondas are not bad. They did have a vibration issue when they brought out the Accord. What year would that be? Well, you can look it up. The first year of the Accord CVT, there were some vibration issues, and they seem to have fixed those. What do you think about the Crosstrek 2020 2-liter oil leak, gas efficiency, and reliability? The internet is your friend. Go on Subaru web forums and have a look. There's no change with the 2-liter from last year or the year before that. So there'll be lots of people who have this, and you can see for yourself what they have to say about it. Mazda announced Turbo is also coming to the CX-30. Nice looking crossover except for all the plastic cladding around the wheel wells and rockers. I didn't mind it. I mean, I did the video review on the CX-30 and all these comments came in about all the plastic on it. I was like, I didn't even notice. I think it depends on the color. I think the color can make a big difference. Oh my God. This is D Chow. Is that David Chow? Glad to see you well. Remember you back in the Z95-3 in the 90s. Good times. Yeah. So when I moved to Vancouver in 1991, I moved here to put a brand new radio station on the air. Before I got into auto, I was a disc jockey on the radio. And I went to school in London, Ontario. Then when I finished school in London, Ontario, I worked in London for 5 years at the one of the top 40 radio stations there. And then they were about to put a brand new radio station on the air here in Vancouver. And I applied, and I was the very last guy hired. And the reason that I wasn't hired earlier is because it was a small company, and they didn't have a big budget, and they thought, we don't have enough money to hire this guy and move him from London, Ontario to Vancouver. So I phoned up the guy who was hiring, and I said, listen, forget about the moving. I'll get myself there. Do I have the job? And I was hired 2 weeks before the station went on the air. I gave my notification at the radio station I was at. I jumped in my Toyota Celica, and I drove from Toronto, where my dad lives, all the way to Vancouver in 3 days by myself, with all my worldly possessions in the back, with my bike on a bike rack on the back. And then some stuff was shipped later. But I got myself here to Vancouver. I was here for a day or so, and then we flicked the switch on and put the station on the air, and that was May 23rd, 1991. I arrived May 21st, 1991, and I've been here ever since. And that's where I met my beautiful wife, Andrea. She worked in the promotions department, wearing a blue polka dot dress. Oh, I remember it well. But yeah, that's how some people still recognize me from my radio days here in Vancouver. Then I did TV for 10 years. I was the weather guy for 10 years on the biggest news channel in Western Canada called BCTV, which is now global. But yeah, that was fun too. Jim Carson, I'm late, but I made it. Any thoughts on Mazda and the next RX to be released? I have no, I don't really know anything about that. Hey Zach, love your channel. Excellent content. Is Subaru having hybrid Outback in the Canadian market? They have the Crosstrek. I'm not sure what their plans are. I would suspect that there's going to need to be more electrification of products for all brands in the Canadian market because of these zero emission mandates, especially in Quebec. If you're not aware, if you're a brand and you don't have an electric plug-in vehicle available, you have to pay penalties. For example, Mazda largest market share outside of Japan is in the province of Quebec, and Quebec has this zero emission mandate or zero emission vehicle mandate, a ZEV mandate, and if you don't sell plugins, you have to pay a penalty. So you're going to see more and more of these things coming as we go forward. Dwayne Rose is here. I'm late. Dang kids dance classes. Come on, Dwayne. It was dance classes for you. Come on. It's interesting to know you have an old Tacoma. Which year, Jen, would you recommend if I want to buy a used one? Also with a 6'5" guy fitting an old new Tacoma. There is a design issue with the Tacoma that a lot of people don't like. And that is the seat is fairly close to the floor. So in a lot of pickup trucks, when you're sitting, your legs go out and then your feet go down at a 90-degree angle, right, to the floor. But because the floor is so high in the Tacoma, a lot of people complain that their feet are kind of on an angle. It doesn't bother me, but I'm not 6'5". I would suggest you get into some of the new ones. They came out starting in 2016. And then the previous gen is the one I have, which was made from, I think it was early 2000s until 2015. So I have an 08 Tacoma. Try it out. I would suspect that it probably would be okay, but that's one of the big complaints of Tacomas is that the seat is too close to the floor, and some people don't find that seating position comfortable. Jerry, the GMC Yukon Denali diesels sure check all the boxes when it compares to the competition, hands down. I love the fact that this engine that they're using in the Sierra and the Silverado is now being made available in the full-size trucks. You regular viewers know I love diesels for utility vehicles. I love diesels for big utility vehicles. These are the biggest utilities you can get, and I think that having a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder with loads of torque to move 7 or 8 people and tow a boat and head to the cottage and do all the stuff people need body on frame trucks to do. If it was me and I was buying one of those, it would be a no-brainer. You can even get it in the Escalade, and I think that's fantastic. I totally agree with you. Hey, Zach, is the rear visibility of the Mazda 3 hatchback a deal breaker for you? How does it compare with the Corolla? Well, it's not the same as the Corolla if you're talking about the Corolla hatchback. A lot of people don't like the claustrophobic feel. The windows are small. The back window is small. Now, you frame your rear view mirror to see out the back, and the big pillars, the C-pillars at the back of the car are really quite large. But don't let that deter you, because there are no blind spots if you set your mirrors properly. If you have your mirror set for the rear window, which isn't an issue, and you set your mirrors out just a little bit, there's no blind spot on the side. So don't get into this whole thing, there's a blind spot. There isn't a blind spot. You just don't have your mirrors set correctly. It isn't as open and airy as the Corolla. The windows are smaller, but you do adjust. You need to try it and see for yourself. Okay? Hi, Zach. For someone that likes to switch cars before the warranty expires, what would you say is the ideal time to trade or sell a car? I mean, in terms of age and mileage. Well, I certainly don't think it's in the first 4 years, which is when typically most warranties end. If you have a premium car, it's 4 years, non-premium 3 years. I think the sweet spot, in my opinion, is buying a car when it's about 5 years old and selling it when it's like 7 years old. The difference between a 5-year-old car and a 7-year-old car in the used market doesn't seem to be that much. Those first 4 years is where you get whacked, right? That's where you're losing 50% of the value. But you can drive, so that's 10% a year. If it's or more than 10% a year, it's 50% over 4 years. So that's 13% a year basically. Now, between 5 years and 7 years, it maybe goes down another 10%, but that's only 5% a year. You see where I'm going here? I think that cars initially depreciate quickly, then they kind of plateau. They still go down, and then once cars get to that magic 100,000 kilometer or 60,000 miles, then they go down again. So, unfortunately for you, looking for a warranty-covered car, that's not going to be helpful. Hey, big fan of the channel. Thinking of embarking on a Mercedes-AMG A35 hot hatch. Conversely, would it be prudent to wait for the new Type R? Sure. I mean, if you are want to hedge your bets, but it's not going to be here for another year, and you could be enjoying an AMG 35 now. What you might want to do, because there's going to be a whole load of demand for that Golf R when it comes out. So that means there's going to be no deals on them. Dealers might even be charging over MSRP to get one. And there's going to be a long list of people who want to get a Golf R. So you know what? Maybe getting an A35 for on a 2-year lease. So 1 year goes by. That's when the new Golf R comes out. You'll be able to see what it is, if you like it. And then in that next year, as you're winding down your 2-year lease, you can work with the dealer, order your car, see if there's any deals, those sorts of things. Not a bad way to go. Hi, Zach. Do you think Toyota 4Runner is going to change engines? Yes. When we finally get a 4Runner, there certainly will be a change. There's speculation it's going to be a hybrid. It's certainly not going to be the 4-liter engine that's in there now. It's just not good on gas. It's heavy on fuel. But what you pay extra in fuel, you get back in resale value. The Toyota 4Runner has an incredible resale value. So my advice is buy the car if you like it, pay the fuel penalty, knowing that when you sell it, you're going to get a big chunk of that money back. Why did you take a break from YouTube? Your reviews helped me get a first car. Thank you. Well, I never stopped doing anything on YouTube. I didn't take a break. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Oh, we've been here an hour. Is there any super chats I missed? I don't want to miss those. All right. I think we are up against the clock. We've done an hour. Thanks to everybody that's here. Only one thumbs down. There's only one dick out there. So thank you. Appreciate you. Don't forget, Car Cost Canada. Oh, look at that. That's nice timing. Sign up using the promo code MOTORMOUTH. Find out the deals, the incentives, all the rebates, and away you go. One last subscriber sip. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do. And I will see you next Monday. Oh, wait. I won't be here next Monday. I've got to go to Toronto. We're doing a motoring TV shoot. Anyway, I'll be back. Maybe I'll do it next Thursday or something like that. But stay tuned. Yeah, next Monday we're a no-go because I'm not here. All right? Enjoy. We'll talk to you in the next one. Take it easy. Bye. Bye-bye.